pro, so we roll. Using procurement, program and control. As a small biz pro, so we grow. Using procurement, program and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Business Zone with
Crystal
and Coach Gilbert Buchanan, your small business paramedic. And today, Crystal, we're gonna have a great show. So
we are gonna have a great show.
how you doing?
I am good. It's been the week goes by. It goes by so fast. It's hard to keep up, man. And one minute is Monday, and the next minute is Friday.
Man, this year is zipping by too quickly, man. I don't know what's going on there.
I agree. It's just way too quick. It's like we need to tell the world to slow down.
Exactly.
What's our hurry?
Man. Before you know it, this show will be 15 years in the making, right?
Right, exactly. 15 years in the making. We already at year 7, July, which is another month.
Yes. July what? 16th it is?
No, July 8th. The first
July
week.
8th. Yeah, there we go. And so we got less than 30 days actually we got about 35 days to go.
35 days to go. Yeah.
Oh,
so
man.
we will have been on the air and we've been hanging tough. So that's a good thing.
That means we got sustainability, co-host. We got
right. I think so, co-host.
Oh man, this is amazing. Now, for those of you who are just tuning in, this is the Business Zone. We're on every Friday from 3 to 4, or if we've got a great guest and the guest is interesting, we'll extend it until 4:30. Business Zone is the #1 small business show in Southern California and the world. We've got a lot of small businesses all over the world who tune into our program and they want our advice or coaching or information and resources. So you guys, you can check us out on YouTube, right, Crystal? How do they get to us on YouTube?
You can go over to YouTube, the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, and click that little subscriber button and subscribe so that you get notification every time we come on, and you get a reminder so you don't have to remember, because sometimes it's just hard to remember because it's just so much going on all the time.
That's right. So you got your Facebook, you got your YouTube, and I think we're now on LinkedIn, Crystal.
Well, it actually, I put it up there the night after we actually broadcast. We haven't we're not live there yet, but we're working on it. But we are live on Twitter. We're live on Facebook. We're on RBD, Recycling Back Dollars Facebook page, on the Business Zone Facebook page. And in a few minutes, you're going to be live on my Facebook page.
All righty then.
As soon as I share it. And so there is nowhere on the internet right now that you don't have access to the Business Zone. So
if you're a small business and you want to promote your business, you want to be a guest on our show, just make sure you reach out to us, whether through email or on YouTube. You can send us a message and we'll be happy to put you on as a guest. Crystal, I think the link is there on YouTube, right?
The link is on YouTube. I'll post the link on our chat in a few as we go through the rest of the afternoon here, and you can get it there, or you can reach out to either myself or Gilbert, and we'll make sure you get that link. And no better place to market your business than on a show that's broadcasting live, and especially that has a following, and we're here consistently every week. Today we have Miss Ginger Campbell, who's a publicist, and she's going to talk about why it's so important for businesses to make sure they have visibility and that their brand is visible in the marketplace. Because truly, if no one knows you in business, nobody's going to be supporting you.
That is true. That is true. That means you're the silent business operator. No one knows about you. they're not going to come find you. So you want to make sure you've got some kind of visibility out there. And that's what we try to help to do on this show. By bringing you on as a guest, the whole world get to see you. And then we provide you a link that you can use that link for your marketing, promotions, your promos, whatever you need to do. So,
and it's so funny, Gilbert. Guys, I was just telling Gilbert we'll be on the air 7 years on July 8th. So we're excited. We're celebrating. We're in the midst of our 7th year. But one of the things that I think for my business, especially, this was one of the best things that we could have done.
Yeah.
Because it really keeps you in the limelight. People get to hear your expertise. And if you're a subject matter expert in your industry, they get to see you live every week performing your craft.
That's right.
So when it makes your sale that much easier by them being able to tune in and see you in action on a regular basis, and you never leave their minds.
That's right. And that's critical, man. That's critical. Crystal, I've taught a lot of workshops. I've taught thousands of workshops, and I'm sure you have too.
Yes.
And some of my participants, some of my clients that I get, right? It's not because I met them and they decide, oh, I like what he's saying, I want to do business. Many of my clients, Crystal, are people I've met a year ago, maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. I don't even remember some of these folks, but they called me, hey, I was in one of your workshops and I remember you said this, this, and this, and it's stuck in my mind since, and I've been wanting to call you, so I'm calling you now. I need help. It's amazing. It's amazing how we get our clients. So, as professionals, as practitioners in our trade, in our industry, we need to make sure when we put our best foot forward, we create that impression, because we never know how many potential clients we're inspiring and you
never know, and you meet people. It's like I've had several people, and I'm sure you've heard this as well. When you need the teacher will appear.
Yeah.
And so I've had that, and so someone may have been scrolling through Facebook or YouTube, and they were like, "Oh, I've been needing to call you. Oh my God, I'm so glad I ran across you." And then I get a phone call, and like you said, it could be a year or two since they actually saw us, or they heard me speak somewhere, they heard you speak, or somebody mentions you in a conversation. So I like to be the household name.
That's right. That's right. That's what I'm talking
I get a kick out of being the household name.
and Crystal, I really want to share with you that I've talked to a few clients this week, and a few of them have some great compliments about you. They have a very complimentary thing to say, that you are the bomb. You're amazing. You really help them with their business. So just want to put it out there to let you know that, there's folks out there who, they may not say anything to you directly, but they really are inspired by you. They're impressed by you, and they love the information you provide, and you've been helping their business, and you don't even know it.
Right, exactly. The same thing for you. When you got sick, when you had COVID, oh my God, I think you were more popular than I was. I was getting texts and calls, and is he okay? Where is he? Oh my God, I'm praying. When I sent out the message to pray for you, oh my gosh, folks went into overdrive.
They went into prayer mode.
They went into prayer mode. I called one person that I knew, that we both knew, that was a prayer warrior.
Yeah.
He went to town.
Oh, I love it. Thanks to all of our listeners, our clients, our fans out there. I appreciate you guys supporting us all these years. And Crystal and I, we've been in the industry for over 30 years, doing a lot of great things with small business. We are advocates. We are shepherds in this industry. We guide small businesses in a positive way. So, we're just very excited when you guys show your appreciation for us. And one way you can show your appreciation for us is to work on getting business ready, loan ready, contract ready, nonprofit ready and go out and get contracts and grants. That's the way you guys can show your
Yeah,
appreciation.
that's definitely the way. So we can make sure we can brag about you guys, and when someone is
Yes.
looking for your business, we can feel confident that you're going to be confident
Yeah.
when we refer you over there to them. So that'd be cool. Gilbert, you had some exciting news this week that you
Oh,
shared with me.
oh yes. I want to share it sparingly though, because I already
Okay.
know who's listening.
Okay. Well,
Who's
once again, congratulations.
Yeah, when I went to the hospital in December for COVID, I was in there for 2 weeks. Didn't have insurance. You know, I was a mess. I was lost. And my co-host went into guerrilla mode. She went out and started talking to folks out there and letting folks know what was going on with me. People started praying for me, and I received those blessings and those prayers. And in 2 weeks, I felt better. I recovered from the COVID. And when I walked out of the hospital, I walked out with a huge bill. That bill was almost $150,000. I'm going, what? This is like a mortgage right here. So that was my bill right there. So I've been trying to work with the hospitals and their finance department and say, hey, can you help me? Because I know the federal government provide funds for many of these hospitals. So the money that they're giving us relief on is not really their own; it's government money. So,
Right.
so I kept asking for help. Hi, Monique. Welcome to the Business Zone. So, I kept asking and asking and asking, and as small businesses, we gotta be relentless. We gotta keep knocking and knocking and knocking at the door. You get knocked down. How many times you get knocked down, you get back up. So I kept knocking at the door, asking for help, and then they finally grant me my wish this week. They said, "Hey, we're gonna waive that $150,000 bill that you had. We're gonna zero it off." I'm going, what? Really? This is like winning the lottery, man. So, folks, thank you for your guidance.
Congratulations, because I know that was weighing heavy on
Was
the
weighing
mind.
on my mind, man, because I'm thinking, oh man, this is gonna kill me. It's gonna send me to my grave.
Just
So
think,
my
you've been paying 30 years for your school loans. You would be in your grave paying for this one.
exactly, man. Unbelievable. 23 years paying on that student loan, and they're still trying to tell me I owe money. This is crazy, man. This is $46,000, Crystal. That was the loan, 46,000. And it's 23 years now, and they're telling me I still owe them money. They said I owe them 33,000 for
Oh, Lord.
23 years. I've been paying on that thing. So,
And at this point, you had to get a new degree in order to be able to function in this new world order we're living in.
exactly. I'm
You need
going,
to upgrade the degree.
yeah. So that was like a double pressure on my heart there, So I said no. So the COVID bill went away. So, working
So
on that student
working on
loan.
the school loan. Well, I
Yeah.
am so pleased for you. I know. Hey, Gloria. Hey, Greg. Hey, Catherine and Monique. So here's what I used that during the time when everybody was being resistant to getting their boosters and their vaccinations and wearing that mask. If nothing else will deter you from getting COVID, is
Yeah.
go to get COVID and have to get $150,000 bills. That'll
Yeah.
set y'all straight.
Exactly. Exactly. Because I wasn't even thinking about that. I'm thinking, well, they claim we should get our vaccinations. I did. I got 2 of them, so I should be okay. But bam, I got COVID anyway. So I said, all right, well, maybe, the hospital will take care of it then, because they told us to get vaccinated. I did. So they should take care. They didn't want to take care of it. They say, you owe us 150,
Yeah.
150.
150,000. That's not even, well, that's not a house here, but it may be a house in the South. It's a house in the South.
It could pay for a house upstate New York and Binghamton, New York. Because when I was there, I bought a house for 54 grand when I was there. So that could now we could buy.
Yeah,
Greg,
or going to
Greg,
the south.
Greg said you're gonna have to move to Jamaica, man.
Yeah, Gloria said her policy expires on the 23rd. Yeah, go look for it. Make sure you're making sure that they cover any pandemics and
Yeah,
what we got right now, monkeypox. So you
yeah.
want to make sure anything that could be catastrophic in the future, you got coverage for.
Make sure, guys, because I'm telling you, man, I'm telling you, they're saying certain things will not happen. I don't think anything is absolute. So there's always a loophole. And
Always is.
sometimes that loophole gets to us. So
Exactly.
man, right now, Crystal, I don't even want to see anyone. I don't want to meet with anyone. I want to go
Yeah,
in.
I'm still pretty leery. I still take my chance. I'm not all that thrilled to go out there amongst the world. And right now, because there's graduations and events, and everybody
Yeah.
seems to think that pandemic is over with. So I'm real cautious. Greg said he don't think he's ever seen you this happy.
I am so happy, Greg. You just don't know it, man. That 150,000-pound gorilla is off my shoulders.
Yeah, well, we're happy for you. Before we get to our guest, Gilbert, I just wanted to. Today, I was reading, and I was reading that Elon Musk. Yeah, 2 days ago, he had put a disclaimer on Twitter. This seems to be his new platform, is Twitter, and that he was telling his employees if they don't come back to work, he is going to consider them resigned. That they have resigned from the company, and that everyone, a 40-hour week has to take place in the office. So I just kind of wanted to talk about today that we're living in a new world nowadays,
Yes,
and
we are.
new employers have to start thinking differently, demanding and ordering your employees around will get you you will find yourself without employees, because employees are actually saying this is one of their issues. This is what the Great Resignation was about,
Exactly.
was
Exactly.
work balance and
Mhm.
people treating you without respect.
Right.
And if you're professionals, you want to be treated with
Right.
respect.
Right. Right.
That's one of the that's one of the reasons I became an entrepreneur.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, a survey conducted by IBM said 58% of employees who are currently working from home, they prefer to stay at home. They don't want to go back in the office environment because they want to compromise their health. They don't want to take that whatever that raggedy monkeypox stuff there in the workplace back home to their kids or family and
Right.
infect them.
Right.
So we understand that, and it sounds to me that this is now a human rights type situation. So I don't see how many employers can force employees to come back into a pandemic type situation and think
Mhm.
that's going to work for them. I don't think so.
And on top of that, if you do an analysis, and I pulled up something from an organization that talked about what has been the cost benefit. So a lot of times, and this is the International Association of Independent Accounting Firms. So we always look at the cost benefits
Yeah.
of what you're doing, right? And
Right.
so one of the things that they did an analysis, and this is what we have to think about. We talk about our bottom line, right? And
Right.
so some of the benefits of working remotely is now you have exposure to wider talent pools. You
Right.
don't have to have all your talent coming in from several zip codes that's in the proximity of the business that you're in.
Exactly. Exactly.
So that gives you more opportunity to have broader.
Right.
Somebody could be halfway around the world. They may be working at night, but
Right.
nevertheless, they
Right.
still can perform and do their job. The other advantages is improved mental health.
Yeah.
82% of remote workers report lower levels of stress compared to working in an office environment.
Yeah.
So I know that driving in Los Angeles is a very stressful
Oh
situation.
yes. Oh yeah.
I remember when we were in the studio and you had to come in from
Oh man.
coming in from the Sam Gabriel Valley area and come in, you be driving on two wheels.
I'm telling you, man. I was speeding every day, putting other people's lives at risk, my life at risk, trying to get to the studio on time. You know, it was crazy. It was crazy.
Right.
And then when I was the manager for the Small Business Development Center, the SBDC at the Santa Monica Airport, I had to drive every day 26 miles one way to work and 26 miles back home in that toxic traffic on the 10 freeway. So can you imagine that stress that I had?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, because I lived back in the day. I lived in the valley, and I worked on the west side. So I worked off of Sepulveda. So when that took place, it was not a problem. Well, then I changed my job and I worked on downtown LA. So
yeah,
now coming from Sherman Oaks, I couldn't
yeah,
take the 405
right,
or the multiple street
right,
avenues that I had. I now had to come in on the 101. I
yeah.
felt like I was about to lose my darn mind and don't let it have rain. Oh my God, I'd hear the rain in the morning on the skylight, and I was like, oh God, it's gonna be like driving on the accidents that's gonna take place. It was just horrendous. So
It's horrendous.
I just started staying. I would come into work and I would stay in LA until 10 or 12 o'clock at night,
Yeah,
and then drive in when there was no traffic. And then
yeah,
going in the valley, there's traffic at 10 o'clock at
yeah,
night. So it would be somewhere around 11 before
yeah.
I would get back to my house, go to sleep, and wake up to start that process all
Start
over
the
again.
process all over again. And see, that brings a lot more stress because one, you got to deal with that stressful traffic going to work. Then
Right.
when you get to work, you got to deal with this toxic environment of the people at your job that you don't really like or they're hating on you. So now it's like a double entendre. Greg said, "Oh, come on. You're in the comfort of your car. And you're not standing for 45 minutes on a crowded subway, New York City subway. Trust me, I would probably prefer that, Greg, because I'm standing in the subway instead of me driving on the street and people cutting me off and all of that stuff.
Right, especially in New York. Driving in New York is insane. So actually, there's a cost saving. So Dell, the computer giant, they estimate an annual savings of $350 per year for employees who work remotely 33% of the time. So
So
it is
350 to the employer.
to the employer per employee
Wow,
and who work remotely 33% of the time.
that's amazing.
Oh, so that's some good stats. Now there are some costs. That's the benefits.
Yeah,
But there are some costs related, and then you have employee retention because employees tend to, when they have that work-life balance. 83% of the workers say working for a company that provides opportunities to work remotely would make them happier for their
all
jobs
right.
because you know that you're not. It's not so. If you work 2 days out of the week where you come into the office, but you get to work 3 days at home, then that's a better work balance. You get to run errands. You're not in traffic. You're not driving most of the time. Now, there are some costs to working remotely. So, of course, the companies have to upgrade their IT. Yeah,
System security.
yeah, Greg, I'm with you. I have to wear everything that I wear that if I have to dress up has to work around the height of my heels. So I'm used to wearing Birkenstocks and tennis shoes. So anything higher than a Birkenstock and a tennis shoe is a problem. So software upgrades, the companies have to look at upgrading their software so that they can communicate with their computer, with their employees. Cultural barriers, of course, people are now not working together, but I say that's a benefit because a lot of times there's some toxicity in
Yeah.
a working environment,
Oh yeah.
and there are people that create chaos in a working environment,
Yeah.
and so now those toxic people can stay at home, and you don't have to work with them. Only time you have to deal with them is on Zoom. So
Right.
there are some benefits. So I think employers need to look at that. And that was one of the things that I did when I left my company. I told my company, in order to convert my employer to my client, I gave him a rundown. This was back in, I went I went solo in 98, somewhere in 98 to early 2000, late 90s. And I
Yeah.
told him, I said, look, I come into work 8:30. I spend 30 minutes, 25 to 30 minutes walking around the office saying hello to everybody, having coffee, having tea, chit-chatting with the employees, especially if it's Monday morning. Then I come and I get to working about 9:30. I work to 10 o'clock. I got to go to my mandatory legal required break at 10 o'clock. I come back at about 10:15, 10:20. Then I work to 12 o'clock. Now I got to take my legal required lunch break. And then the state of California will fine you if I don't. So I go to my lunch. I've been working for you for about 12, 15 years. So you know I'm not taking an hour lunch. So I come back. I come back. I work from, so I come back at whatever, 12, 1:20, 1:30. I worked at 3. I got to take my second required legal break. And then at 4 o'clock, then I come back and I work until 4:30. Then I got to go back around the office and say hello and goodbye and check up and see how everybody's doing. So I literally have worked 6 hours. So I tell you what, I will work for you 6 hours at my house. And you don't have to worry about all those other legalities because I will be independent and you will be my, and they bought it. They went for it.
But you know what? They know it's true because they're tallying it up. They're going, okay, so we have 100 employees, and if each one of them is doing that, I'm losing 2 hours per employee. 100 times 2, that's 200 hours right there. I'm losing on a daily basis. Then maybe I should let them stay and work from home.
And you're self-employed, so all I'm doing is I'm not having to worry about employee taxes. I had it laid out. I gave them they couldn't say no if they wanted to because it was very cost effective for them, and so they became my first client. So
that's amazing.
So that was me working remotely, but on my own terms.
I think this working remotely is a good thing. I mean, here they're saying in the survey, they're saying 83% of workers, they say that working from home is a good thing. They prefer that opportunity. Plus, it helps the employer to retain their employees, 83% of their employees. So that's a good thing for them. And on top of that, they don't have to lose 2 hours 2 to 3 hours a day per employee, just like you just described. So that's a good thing for them. So I think more and more employers should really take a look at this. I don't really want to go back out there and mingle with anyone. I prefer to do my meetings, my consulting, one-on-one coaching online on Zoom with my clients. I don't want to meet with anyone. So,
yeah, I'm good. But we were already kind of doing that anyway. If I did go out, I would meet at the Urban League every now and then. But most of my client meetings are always been taken on the phone, and I was already using Zoom before Zoom became the thing. Greg says, "You just go back to your corner and shut up." You know, and now you do have to get, people want to meet you for lunch and break. But at first, then I got to get dressed. Now I only have to dress from the top up and make up. So
I don't even remember how to get together with people anymore.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I get together with people on the weekend, but it is, and for families and moms with children is a good thing because they don't have to worry about child care. If their child gets sick, they can stay home and take
Right.
care of their children. So Monique is laughing. She says she's dying laughing. But yeah, you just have to. So
one thing I want to throw in there, Crystal, when I was in grad school, we did a study on having workers working in the workplace versus working remotely from home. And we found that the workers in our study, we found that the workers who work from home were much more productive than the ones who stayed in the at the employer's place. And here's why. When you're at home, you want to prove to the employer that you're not messing around, you're not goofing off. You want to prove that you actually did some work. And I remember when I was contracted with Los Angeles Community College District, they did that. They would let us work from home on a Friday, right? Because I think they were trying to trap us to see who was going to goof off so they can fire us, right?
Right.
So every Monday morning, we had to bring a log of what we did on Friday, demonstrate that we did work that 8 hours, man. And it was amazing. You should see us, working and working. Monique said, absolutely.
Yeah, less distractions. And I know I've been more productive. One, the time that I would be using to commute to a place, I actually use that to get more work done.
Yeah, more work done. Exactly.
And I think, and a lot of them, a lot of the employers are feeling, well, in the beginning they had any choice, so they had to trust their employees. But that's one of the first things that it does is it provides. You have to trust that your employee is doing the work, and you know this because you can actually see it happening, and you see things happening. It's more. You can see it, and a lot of them in that software when they had to upgrade their software, they incorporated timers and if the computer stayed stagnant for too long, they would know that you weren't working. But I think if you have conscientious professional employees, one, you're trusting them to be able to manage their time, knowing that they are at work during certain times of the day and to be back there. And I think most people did not take advantage of that. And I can't, the world was working for 2.5 years remotely. So can't say it doesn't work. It does work.
I totally agree. So I think we're going to bring in our guests.
Yes, I just wanted to cover that because that seems
our
to be
amazing guest speaker.
Yes, we are going to bring her in. Let me pull up her just a little bit of her bio. She'll give us all of her details, but I should have made us tell you some stuff about her. But her name is Ginger Campbell, and she is the she says she is the live event guru. She's a publicist. She's been working in her business for a number of years. She's I know she has a lot of contacts. She knows a lot of people. and so as we always talk about Gilbert, we always talk about having that your value proposition. What do you bring to the table that makes you valuable and that no one else has? So this is Miss Ginger. We're gonna bring her on. Welcome, Ginger. How are you?
How are you guys? Hey, Gilbert.
Welcome to the Business Zone, Miss Ginger Campbell.
Well, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Very good. Very good.
So Ginger, tell us about yourself.
Well, I've been in business. Snap has been in business, and I have an anniversary this month, like you, or actually next month, like you. 30 years.
Wow. Amazing. Love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's been great. I mean, I was able to send my kid to NYU. I mean, there was so many things I was able to do. And being a single mom, I really needed to be around. So this really, having my own business really helped because, when all my family's back in Chicago. So like when it was, Mother's Day, Grandmother's Day, whatever it was at her school, I could be there and available to her. So that was for me, it worked out very, very well to have my own business, even though, you have your ups and downs like anybody else does, right?
So when you are, public relations and marketing has been that's been the sole services that you provided?
No, actually, it started out in event production. I'm, from Chicago, like I mentioned. And so the first event that I was actually involved with, I was a marketing director for the Mayor's Office of Special Events in Chicago. So we did all the big festivals, Taste of Chicago, the Blues Fest, Gospel, and Jazz. And then I was the general manager of Taste of Chicago. And I just kind of fell in love with event production. It was kind of the way my brain worked. So I started out in that, and then I kind of segued into PR because, well, a lot of times people would hire us to do like festivals and stuff like that. And then the producer's fee that the company that I work for charged was like eating into their advertising budget. So I was like, well, I could write, I'm a good writer. I can, write a press release. And I'll just call some radio stations and try to get some of the people on and, that sort of thing. So it kind of segued into that. And then when I moved here to Los Angeles, I really wanted to work in entertainment. And I was a publicist at Motown for a while. And so I started integrating that into the business, into the business mix along with events. Plus, PR is a way that you can get events are kind of one-offs, right? Whereas if you're doing PR for somebody, you can get a monthly retainer. So it was also a business decision too.
So Ginger, tell us the name of your business and why you chose that name.
It's Snap Productions, and the reason I chose that name is that when I went to go file my DBA back in the year of our Lord, I didn't know that you had to come up with the name of your company right then and there. So they're like, "What's your company name?" And here's me. I got to do that today. And I said, I mean, I know, like, I didn't know anything about starting your own business. I mean, this was all trial by error. And so I said, I thought, John, my step grandfather always called me Ginger Snap, right? So I was like, Snap Productions. That was it.
And you were born, huh?
And I was born. And there you go.
Ginger Snap Productions.
Well, that's what a lot of people think. Actually, my company is Ginger Snap Productions. Like I used to work with a lot of writers when I was the PR marketing person at the California African American Museum. And we created this event called an Evening of Mystery, where we'd have all these mystery writers come, and then like people would pay extra to have the mystery writer try to solve the mystery, have the mystery writer at their table, right? And so this guy then, Gar Anthony Haywood, wrote a book, and he actually used me as as a model for his protagonist. And in the credits, he wrote them Ginger Snap Productions, and I was like, oh, I can get it right.
Yeah, you know what he could have done? He could have put an apostrophe on Ginger, said Ginger Snap Productions.
Right, but he didn't. But I was grateful, so I kept the book, and it's my little claim to fame.
So Ginger, I know that the Greater Los Angeles African American Chamber, they just had an event on May 19th, a gala. Were you involved in that? And how were you involved? What was your contributions?
Well, that was a good setup, Gilbert. That was a great. I wrote the script and did the run of show for that particular event. So, trying to come up with stuff that's witty and cute, and also trying to keep the time down, because, you give people an inch and they take a ruler. So,
so you were part of coordinating that show, then, that program. Right?
I didn't do any of the production on it. I wrote the script, but, for the past couple of years, of course, there really hasn't been a whole lot of live events, everything I've done. that was my big pivot, because when I call it the day the world changed, right?
Yeah.
And so the day the world changed, I just watched, all the business go away. Because I was supposed to write the script for the GLAC event that was happening in March, and it went away. They canceled, everybody canceled. So my big pivot was, we knew people at the LAUSD, and everybody on the radio and TV was talking about prom and graduation, and how the students weren't going to have any graduation ceremony because of the pandemic. And we were like, well, what about prom, right? Like that's like such a rite of passage, and nobody's going to have a prom. So we reached out to LAUSD and said, we could put together this prom for you virtually. Now, mind you, I did not know how it was going to happen, but I believed I could do it. So I believe. So, and so, working with, it's a behemoth. So it's like, it takes the wheels are very slow to grind, right? So we pitched the idea in April. They didn't sign the contract until May 15th, and the event date was May 30th.
Wow.
And there was Memorial Day in there. So we had like 9 business days to pull this whole thing together. And so because it was early enough in the pandemic that people didn't, they weren't trying to monetize a whole bunch of stuff. So, I mean, we were able to get like Magic Johnson, Estelle, a Laker, Danny Green, a bunch of people from E! Entertainment, Sean Combs' son, I don't know if it was Christian or Justin. It was one of those two. But we were able to get all those people together. And then I got all these people to give sponsorships and, various, giveaways for the kids. And we did this 3-hour event that ended up to, it was for 33,000 students.
Wow. That's awesome.
It was scary. Awesome. I cried. I cried before I hit the live button.
But it turned out well, though. It turned out very well for you, and now it has become a part of your portfolio.
Yes.
So that was in 2020, correct?
Correct.
2020. And also, based on your background, your experience, I understand that you were enrolled in a program offered by the Greater Los Angeles African American Chamber. What was that program? What was it called? And
it was called the Business Evolution Program, and Gilbert is the greatest business coach on the planet. And by extension, because Gilbert kept telling me, you got to know Crystal. You need Crystal. I got to Crystal by that way. So, I mean, it was a great program. I encourage anybody, in the LA area, if they want to, really help their business grow. I think that it's a program that really anchors itself well into the students in that, I mean, they want to see you succeed, and they really help make those connections. And many of the connections that I made during that class, I mean, I'm now working them, trying to get contracts and stuff from many of the people who are the supplier diversity people and that sort of thing. And I want government contracts, and I'm so learning that it is all about who you know. It is all about who you know.
That is true. That is true.
It is. What's one of your first of all, do you do events all across the country or just in this country, the states that you live in?
No. I do them, all across the country. But primarily, I do them mostly locally. I mean, unless we're doing a tour, like I worked with Tavis Smiley for years. And so, we did a number of national events. With Blacks in Technology, his Talented 10th program, his accountable tour. I mean, I did a lot of different kinds of events for him. So no, it's not just local.
Oh, okay. What's your most memorable event that you've done on a grand scale?
On a grand scale. It's so challenging because there are so many of them. But I can tell you, I had this one event. I used to work with the South Coast Air Quality Management District. And you know how, you just have that feeling of contentment, like, oh my God, this was such an amazing event. I don't know. It's like everything came together and conspired to make it fabulous. I had William Allen Young, who was such a great orator. He was just amazing and talked about, air quality while he was, in, I don't know if it was Compton or Watts, but he said he could see USC and it was someplace he wanted to go. But, and then I would hire this guy who it's almost as if he channels Martin Luther King. And I mean, he will reenact some of his sermons. I mean, it was just an amazing, touching kind of an event. But, every time I do an event, I'm just like, whoo, we did it. It was fabulous. And I am
forget about it. I'm going to the next one.
And then there are those that you go, never again, never again.
Sounds like you've been doing very great, Ginger. I love it.
You know, the pandemic was actually really good to me. You know, I know for a lot of people it was a terrible time. They couldn't get work. They couldn't do a lot of things. But for me, it was really, really good. And since most of my work comes from word of mouth anyway, it was I really got to hone the virtual event skills. I mean, now I'm actually producing my first in-person event in like 2 years. And, you know, it's like all the things you forget, you know, you just forget. It's like, wow. I mean, like I got to get checks ready and I've got to, you know, set up a delivery schedule. And, you know, it's just, so I'm kind of like, you know, slowly easing myself back into what it's like doing real events again.
Have you worked with any youth organizations, Ginger?
Well, I just did an event for Nifty. They have an event called the Youth Entrepreneurial Challenge that teaches underserved students. You know, they're coached for like 16 weeks, something like that, and then they have a big pitch competition. And so there's middle schoolers and there's also high school students. And I mean, the things these kids are learning is so amazing. Like I did pretty much my first real pitch contest this year.
Yeah.
And I clearly am way out of middle school and high school.
You know, of course, Ginger, you know, of course, my phenomenal co-host, Crystal Super Mitchell, is a coordinator of that program.
Well, actually, that's how I met
that program.
Last year, that's how I met Ginger. Because Ginger, I had not heard of you. As a promoter, you're usually behind the scenes, so I didn't know of you. And then when we did our first virtual competition last year, then you were the coordinator. You did the
together. That was, and I mean, but to me, it's such a, I mean, it's so amazing. You know, when you guys were talking about, you know, earlier when you were talking about me coming on as a guest, you know, one of the things you said is that, you know, if no one knows about you or whatever, you know, when I did my first pitch this year, my first line was, if you have no clients and nobody knows about you, that means you have no business and you're not making any money. And I was like, oh my God, that's exactly what I said.
Well, and that's a great segue into the marketing piece, because one of the things that I have noticed in my 30 years of working with this small business community is that marketing and publicity seems to be the last thing that our small business owners think about.
Yeah.
You know, they're so busy running the business that marketing and getting their brand out there is the last thing that they ever do.
And it's hard. I mean, you know, first of all, there's there can be a cost associated with it, especially if you're hiring someone like me to promote it. And then, you know, we're also talking about, even though there's way more content like in the marketplace, you know, if you're trying to get something into the LA Times, say, for example, or, you know, be on Spectrum One or something like that. It's harder to do that now because, you know, there's less space. And so it's kind of like, how do you break through the noise? And so I kind of fall into that very same category. I do it for other people, but I don't necessarily do it for myself. So today, I actually hired a social media person to kind of help me because it's not my thing, you know, and it's like, I don't know, you know, kind of doing these live, you know, videos and stuff. I don't know. There's a part of me that feels like it's a little narcissistic, you know, so I'm like, so it's real, you know, I'm, you know, I fight that, you know, all the time. And so, you know, this girl, I mean, she was like, came in like gangbusters, like, I can help you and I can do this. And I was like, is she expecting me to hire her? She was. But she was good. You know, she said, Ginger, just start out with like 10 tips. And so, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is that it isn't that challenging. I mean, you got to get over, you know, if you have issues like me about narcissism and, you know, just, you know, flooding the airway. But at the same time, when traditional, even if you can't do traditional public relations and do press releases and hire someone to help you get in to various, news networks or, publications, that sort of thing. Social media is so available to people. It's free. I mean, all you need is this, right? That's all
Right.
you need.
Mhm.
And, people, I mean, I've just been reading so much about TikTok and how people are really like, they're discovering brands, they're getting all these followers, and they're getting a ton of business, just by doing reels and putting up TikTok videos about their business. And, like me, I'm old school, right? So like, I don't really think of this as it's my phone, right? So when I'm out, like I'm not taking pictures. Like if I had a real camera, I'd be taking pictures. I don't think about it all the time with this. But like, she was telling me today, like when you do this event next week, make sure you do some setup. Take some video
Yeah.
of them setting up the event. So I mean, it's new information that I have to keep in my head. And again, it could sound a little weird given the fact that I tell people these things, but it's one thing to tell other people to do it. It's another thing when you're doing it yourself, right?
That is that's just such a fact though, Ginger.
Yeah, Ginger, that is really a fact.
Yes, many entrepreneurs, man, they're quick to tell you what to do, but
Right.
when it comes to them following their own advice, not so much.
Well, I mean, even when I first started my accounting, my bookkeeping services, just like you, Ginger, everything came as a word of mouth. I mean, I established with, I would be out networking. Now, I am an amazing, I love networking. And so that was the very first thing that I did. And obviously, as a publicist and a marketing person in that field and in the field that you're in, I went out and met the people that I knew would be able to carry my message out there to the population, to my customer base, right? So I did that. I made sure that I had a really solid word of mouth network out there. So for the first 15 years until the recession in 2008,
Mm-hmm.
I had only worked by referrals and word of mouth. So after 2008, and most of my clients were in the real estate industry, or they were in the mortgage industry, or they were churches. Those were my clients. Well,
Mm-hmm.
all that wiped
All
out
of them.
all of my business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm sitting there going, okay, well, who am I going to do this for? Oh my God, I got a market. Oh my God, how am I? And I've been telling people how to do that for years. How do I do that? So I had to then go back to some of my own lessons to teach myself how to market my business.
Right. And I mean, like, I'm really great at doing it on behalf of my clients. I'm super at it. I mean, that's what I get paid to do, but I'm not great at doing it myself. So, I mean, these kinds of opportunities, to talk with you and to share my story and that sort of thing is really important because it's not things that I normally do. I'm in the background all the time.
Yeah.
I'm making things happen quietly and in the back. Well, maybe not always quietly because obviously I like to talk, but but I'm doing it behind the scenes and I'm not kind of out there. So, I'm great at promoting other people's businesses. I've not been really great about doing my own. So this year, I'm really trying to change that. And so I'm trying to take more opportunities to, talk to people about what I do, really put myself out there on social media and that sort of thing to just really widen or broaden the scope of people because, sometimes those referrals peter out and you need to know new people all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you're absolutely right. When we're in a coaching kind of or auxiliary kind of business, you'd be very good at promoting your own clients. But one of the things that I was just Gilbert and I did, and that's what I said earlier at the top of the show, is one of the best things we did was actually launching our podcast because now we are out there and people are seeing, and we got to market it and grow it and do what we're doing to it. But more than likely I'll go somewhere and someone will tap me on the shoulder. It's like, you're Crystal, aren't you? And I'm like, Yeah.
Yeah, what do you know me?
How do you know me? And then they'll say, "Oh, I saw you online the other day. You always online." Somebody told me one day, he says, "I will tell you what, Crystal, there is not a day that I don't look on my internet and you're not there." I said, "Well, that's
Oh my
good. My
goodness. So
marketing is
that's
working."
wonderful. But that's what, kind of what small businesses really need to do is, they've got to find ways. And if it's too expensive to hire a I mean, I think it's important to, kind of think about what your brand is. Like I've conceptualized, I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, so I clearly know what my brand is and that sort of thing. But how you communicate that brand, how you come across, and obviously for different platforms, you've got to kind of change your messaging a little bit. You can't say what you'd say on Instagram, say, for example, on LinkedIn, because it's a very different kind of, you have a different voice that's used. But I feel that, for small businesses that, may not be able to hire a publicist per se, they might be able to sit down with someone to just kind of help them craft what their brand is about, that sort of thing. And then they can do a lot of that on their own through, just posting videos, posting, content, about things that they're doing really to get their brand out there, because, they're just people who are just shameless self-promoters, right? And they're also getting a lot of business.
Right. Well, I mean, look at the Ashkins. They use every angle under the planet to make sure that they stay relevant out there. What type of business would you say would benefit the most from a publicist?
I think that someone who is really trying to maybe build a brand or has a brand, but really trying to promote it. For example, I work with a company that we produce, or I produce, I should say. It's a wellness brand for women called Wise Paws Wellness, right?
Okay.
And so Wise Paws is all about women, hormones, perimenopause, the whole thing. We bring all these experts together, and it's a one-day event that answers all these questions. And so a company like Wise Paws it does well for that sort of thing, because there's an established history of work product, but it just needs to get moved to the next level. So, pitching Oprah and, it just got into one of her products, just actually got into Oprah's favorite menopausal things.
Oh, wow.
So it's that sort of thing where you're really, you need placement in a high profile kind of situation, and you need to kind of level up. That's when I think that a publicist is really important. Not so much, when you're first starting out, because you're still kind of floundering, finding your way. I mean, unless you're, somebody who is about to blow up, you're starting the next Facebook and, that sort of
right, thing. Exactly. It's a tech thing, which is what I told Gilbert, that for his Small Biz Pro, that he needed to have a publicist, or at least someone that could give him, how do you get to the big tech magazines? Because how does that happen if you have a product? In his case, he has a software product, right? So how do you get so that you are one of those products that they review on an annual basis?
Well, you have to send them to the reviewers. You have to send a pitch letter with, we'd like for you to demo the product, that sort of thing. And you send it out. I mean, I subscribe to a database that to me is ridiculously expensive, given the fact that I pay the same amount as probably Procter and Gamble pays.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why they don't offer a small business discount. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But anyway, bottom line is, we would put together a kind of a pitch package that then we would send to these review editors to get them to review. And then you can't just send it, you got to call and, follow up and that sort of thing. I mean, unless you completely know that industry, that tech industry, and you can get placements. But I worked with a tech company. I didn't have any tech, I didn't know any writers per se, and I was still able to get a lot of stuff in. So that's what I would suggest.
There you go, Gilbert.
That's very good advice. Very good advice. Maybe I'm gonna have to work with you on doing that for me, Ginger.
Maybe so.
Yeah, because
And our listener Greg Sneed said 2 snaps up and in
and a
circle.
circle. But because he's worked so hard on that on Small Biz Pro, and I think that's where it needs to get to. It needs
Yeah.
to get to that bigger stage now,
Yeah.
and he's done a lot himself, but in order to really get the recognition and get his investment back on all that he's done over the last 10 years of getting it to market, it definitely needs to go to that.
Yeah, because I didn't know when he first told me to go to Small Biz Pro when I was in the BEP program, I didn't even know it was his program. I mean, I found out sometime later it was just something he said, and I was like, wait a minute, this is his program? But I mean, but there you could get profiles in things like Entrepreneur Magazine, I mean, think about, those kinds of places, because those are the kinds of places you would need to get placement.
See, when it comes to coaching, consulting, and all of that, you come to Crystal and I. When it comes to the PR thing and all of that, we're gonna lean on you, Ginger.
Yeah, because I mean he's absolutely correct, Gil. Because if you think about it, Essence has every year they do something on the latest tech, especially if they're black, black, especially in today's world when there's fewer products that are developed by black people or people of color. Right. Yeah. So I think that would be perfect, is to get it to them even before you get to like smart computing and all that sort of stuff. Get the recognition from the black networks.
Absolutely. And let them help lift you, because then you can use that as leverage for, for your push to the entrepreneurs and the wireds and all the tech stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think Entrepreneur Magazine also has, I know Entrepreneur Magazine has a pitch competition that they do. It's, if you go to YouTube and you type Entrepreneur pitch, you'll see all of their shows. I think they air it on Fox, but they have certain features that you could, using your muscle and your power, and say, hey, I got an amazing product here, guys, that you got to check out.
Yeah, I think
you should enter some pitch competitions for it. I mean, because it really is a great small business tool, especially, especially to keep tabs on your certifications, and your insurance and all that stuff, because it's a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the history behind why he created it. I mean, he developed it out of a need that he saw in his coaching of clients that were applying for certification. Heck, actually, I think Chris Houghton, when he does his next Chris from the SBDC.
Yeah.
When he does his next pitch thing, you should be involved in that, because
I know.
I personally think that his product is like one of the top out there, and it should be getting the major exposure now.
Right.
I agree. And there's no reason not to. And there's so, it's all about, all of this, everything that we do is about filling a void, or filling a hole in the market, right? And what you supply. And for so many businesses, that's such a great tool to have, especially small businesses, because most of us don't have a whole back office that, somebody who can just, arrange all that stuff and pull it out for us at a moment's notice. I certainly don't. And if I file it, you don't know where it's going.
Greg Sneed says, good to see you, Ginger. A client called 20 minutes ago. Greg Sneed is our offline business zone court jester.
Well, I know Greg.
This is great. This is great information, Ginger, that you're providing us. And see, that's the same thing I would like other small businesses to know, that you are there for them. You can provide them with that type of access and resource. So, folks, Ginger, maybe you can give us your information so we can put it in the chat. So,
certainly. What do you want? Website? You want?
Let's
email. What?
Let's take an email first, because I rather connect with an email than a website. Website is good. I can see what you do, but to contact you.
Certainly.
What's your
So it's Ginger, Ginger, at snap, SNAP, hyphen, not underscore, but a hyphen, productions with an S, PRODUCTIONS.com.
perfect?
So your business is about to pick up because everybody's just really, really excited about getting to live events. And I noticed all of a sudden there's jazz concerts going on this summer. I mean, it's just like we just skipped over the last 2 years and we are back full force.
I know, and I kind of feel like you know, I still have some temerity around, you know, being in large crowds and
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So, you know, but unless, you know, with these COVID cases going up, you know, but unless they kind of do an indoor, I mean, they're suggesting that you wear one indoors, but, you know, at this point, the COVID protocols are just, you know, either you can show your proof of vaccination or, you know, come with a negative test.
But you can actually still get COVID because I got COVID. I had vaccination. I've been vaccinated. Gilbert obviously had been vaccinated, and we both got it. You get a lesser severity. And then, you know, I think we're at the Omicron, but we're at several different types.
Well, there's so many subvariants now, but I got it after 2 vaccinations. I had it at Christmas time.
Yeah, so I think we still have to be very careful. I did read this morning that they are thinking about going back with indoor mandatory masks. I think we should. I mean, I know I've gone to some events. I mean, at the GLAC event, you saw a handful of people with masks on, and it's not necessarily the people; it's the who you've been around, right? You don't know
exactly.
who
Plus,
you've been around.
You know, I'm a hugger, and how you doing? It's so good to see you. And you know, like then I kind of stop myself, but by that time I'm mid, you know. And
You're
then
already
it's like,
in
what
their
do you
face,
do?
right?
You just gotta finish it at that point, you know. And,
right, and especially now you haven't seen people. You haven't seen people, so therefore you really want to hug. Gloria wants to know, generally, what size of budget does one need to consider for continuous PR support, like a retainer? What does that look like?
Well, it kind of depends. You know, it depends on how much is required, you know, like sometimes generally, you know, low dose is probably around 2,000 a month.
Okay.
But you know, if it's a big project and you need, you know, a lot, you know, and we're doing a lot of booking and stuff like that, I mean, it can go anywhere from, you know, 5 to 10,000 a month, depending on, you know, how much is needed. You know, I've always wanted one of those easy accounts, like get somebody like Beyonce who, you know, if she steps outside, you don't have to call the press is calling you, right?
That's right.
And people make like 20 grand a month. I'm like, that's what I want.
So that would be your ideal client.
Yeah, because it's all just, you know, wading through. It's not like you're calling people going, you're not begging. You know, for most of the people that I'm working with, I'm begging, right?
Right, exactly.
Or trying to see how we can massage something. If I give you this person, can you still do this favor for me? Where, you know, somebody that, you know, very well known, you know, Greg put $5,000 daily only.
Well, that would be if Beyonce was her client.
That would be a Beyonce level. Yeah, I don't know anybody. But that's the kind of you know, work that I do. And so it you know, you're still doing a lot of work even on a small retainer, but you know, you're also trying to find placements in other places that, you know, as you try to build it, because the whole idea is to just build, right?
Yeah.
You get them in this, you know, you kind of do the lower tier, and once you move up, you know, then you're trying to get to those kind of exalted places. You know, I think the New York Times is like exalted, Washington Post, you know, exalted, those kinds of things.
So
yeah.
Greg Sneed said $5,000 daily.
Yeah, that would be your Beyonce. I do think though, if let's say if you are written, you know, a book and you really want to sell, hey Maya, if you really want to sell copies, that should be part of your marketing material, is thinking about what, even if you just hire a publicist for consulting purposes so that can help you lay out what that looks like, right?
Right, but the other thing too is I mean, unless you want to do all that work yourself. I've worked on several books, publishing books and that sort of thing, those kind of projects. Some of them are hard. I have a client that their whole thing is they work with exonerated people. And so they had this book called Pruno, Ramen, and a Side of Hope, Stories of Surviving Wrongful Conviction. And, I'm trying to explain to like, book reviewers, it's kind of like chicken soup for the soul meets the prison system. So sometimes those books are really, really hard because people are looking at it in genres, as opposed to. So, in books particularly, I think that it's important that you have a publicist and someone who, that can really kind of push and find these outlets. And so, like I said, I subscribe to that, expensive database, but at least I can aggregate a number of book reviewers as opposed to, you sending it off to this one, because it's also expensive, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody who wants you want to review the book, who wants a copy of the book.
Yeah.
Right. So what do you think would be so when we look at that, you're obviously going to look at the return, right? What would be your investment? So a publicist versus no publicist, on what, based upon some of your clients, how many books you could actually sell with a publicist versus what you would sell without a publicist.
Yeah, I think you sell more books. And I mean, I think that all of this is just kind of coming down to, you can go to big publicity firms. There's a bazillion of them here in Los Angeles, right? And they hire, they have all the entertainment people and all that kind of stuff. But I think that, one of the benefits of hiring someone like me or, someone of my ilk, smaller, is that you're going to get more personal attention. People are going to pay attention. People are going, you're gonna tweak if you have a strategy and it isn't working, you can tweak it easily. It's not like there's this big machine that is going on in the background that has to kind of grind to a stop and then reverse and that sort of thing. So here, books, whatever. I mean, I think that using a small business for the events, the publicity, all that kind of stuff, it's I think it does. You'll benefit more just because of the attention that you'll get and the amount of attention that's put on your project.
Oh, okay. And then I also think based upon, it's like who you come with, right? Gilbert and I come with our vast network. So when we are coaching, you're just not getting us, you're getting our network. So the same thing with you as a publicist, you're getting your vast network that you put time and investment into building in order to help promote and work with your business.
Right.
So people have to recognize that.
What's that story that they say that, it's some artist, I don't know if it was Picasso or something, that somebody said, draw me a picture. And he said, well, how much is it? And he said, $10,000. She says, why? It only took, it took you 2 minutes to do it. And then he said, yeah, but, it took me 30 years to perfect it to that thing. And I think that's, the same with people like you and me, we come with a lot of experience. There's, we've been down that road. This isn't our first rodeo. So, we're coming to you with a vast skill set, a network, that sort of thing. And, we're going to leverage that to help.
Oh, okay. Greg wants to know, and this, in today's world, good publicity, bad publicity, it doesn't really matter in this world that we live in. So he says, what about clients that believe negative publicity will drive their business? I imagine they are not ideal clients. What do you?
No, they're not ideal clients. And generally, I mean, not to get too woo-woo, but that's not energy I want to be involved with, I mean, I'm sure it does, it will drive some business and it may give you a bump for a while, but that bump comes down and then
it seems like you have to keep chasing that, right? It's like you gotta. I've been noticing that with of late with Elon Musk. I mean, he's decided this is the new Elon Musk is to make sure he's in the news, whether it's good news or bad news. But it seems to me
I think it
that
all
could
came
be,
about from Trump, right?
yeah, off, yeah, because
Yeah.
that's what a Trump does.
Hmm.
That has to be exhausting to because are you going to get the same benefit? I mean, because you're
Well,
or are you?
well, I also feel that, I mean, that negative publicity kind of follows you. So, when people think of you, it's kind of like they have mixed feelings about you, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
And sometimes you can't shake that public, you can't shake that reputation. And, I just believe it, just try to do good.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, because I think when I remember taking marketing classes, Gilbert, I'm sure you took marketing classes. The goal was that you didn't want some bad marketing to surface when you didn't want it. Like a politician,
Yeah.
you create these negative environments, and then when you want to run for the cardinal, all of a sudden that that negativity kind of
Just
rears its
pops
ugly
right back up. Right.
right back
Yeah.
up, and
And
especially in this world that we live in, computerized.
And I think that negative publicity, I mean, like I said, it follows you, and it doesn't, it makes people talk about you, but then it
Right.
also divides people about you too, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of where you don't, I mean, in my mind, that's not something I want to deal with. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not to say things won't come up, or maybe you need to make a statement. Like a lot of companies, when during the George Floyd incident, they
Mhm.
all wanted to, like people were calling me to help them craft a statement for their website about, Black Lives Matter, and they support and that sort. I mean, I don't think that there's anything wrong with that.
Uh-huh.
um, taking a stand. But at the same time, I mean, look at how Disney is kind of getting dragged now because they took a stand on the whole abortion thing in
Mhm.
Florida, and now there's all this drama. I mean, things are so politically divided right now, and I understand that people are kind of afraid. I think you got to stand up for what you stand for and let the
Mhm.
chips fall where they may. But I would not try to hone on to any sort of negative publicity as, like all publicity is good publicity. And not with social media. That used to be the case before all that stuff happened. But now
Yeah.
it lives forever. I mean, look at what happened to Kevin Hart. They unearthed some
Yeah.
tweets of his from 10 years ago, and then they pulled the Oscar hosting gig from him.
Right. It's like they almost have a whole team of people out there. Let's go find whatever negative you can find
Right.
on that individual. And
Mhm.
even though it's buried, see if it was print, it would take you a long time to find that. But
Right.
on the internet, it doesn't take,
It's
just takes a few
right.
keywords. And next thing you know, now you're having to backtrack something that you said 25 years ago, and everybody's different. So I'm with you. So Greg, it says, and I'm about this. My reputation is valuable to me. And so I try to establish and build a reputation that will carry, it has the test of time, right?
Exactly.
I don't want something to come up down the line that is going to, sabotage something that I'm
That
doing
you've built for
that you
your
built,
whole
right?
life. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with Will Smith, but that slap certainly,
Yeah.
tanked his career, at least for right now. It
For
has.
right now, and I'm sure he'll be back, but he'll come back differently. Mel Gibson, same thing. He didn't come back. There's quite
Mm-mm.
a few of them that certain things they've done in the past have derailed them for the duration, and they never really able to rise above it. And especially if people see you one way,
Right.
and
And that's what I was going to say. I mean, just like you talked about your reputation, and your reputation is really all you have. It's your brand capital.
mhm,
Yeah.
So, you have to make a choice on how you want how you want to invest in your own brand capital. And so to me, like I always tell people when I do an event, I'm like, I'm only as good as my last event, because if it sucks, somebody's going to say something about it. And
mhm.
and my reputation is how I get work. So
Right,
I'm not
exactly.
trying to do anything to dampen it or harm it in any way, because it's kind of my testament to who I am.
Exactly. Now Gilbert is always working on maintaining his. He'll tell a person in a minute.
That's true. That is so true. As a matter of fact, as we speak right now, I'm conjuring up some things that I want to add to that system. So I'm always adding stuff. I'm always bringing value to the small businesses that use it.
Right. So he's always, so we do. So guys, you know, and Greg says he'll never fully recover for an action, and sometimes that's what happens. Like we operate out of an emotion, and we don't ever know. And I personally think there was a whole bunch of stuff going on way before he got to the Oscars that it just took a little bit. And when we're in personal turmoil, when there's personal turmoil going on in the household or wherever, you know, it can really derail us. And I think that's what was going on there. And because you hadn't seen that in their world before, we expected that, like from Kanye West, right? Whatever he does, we expect that. But you're not expecting that from a Will Smith. So it's going to take a little bit.
No, because he's had a very carefully crafted brand for all these years. And so, I mean, it just, you know, it just shows you build a brand and then you do something insipid, you know, and look at how quickly he fell. And I mean, he lost like 4 major movies that they, you know, put back on the drawing board. I mean, there was a lot.
It's gonna take him a minute. And the same thing with Bill Cosby. Same exact thing, right? I mean, he was the pudding man, right? The pudding pop guy. And now, I mean, Cliff Huxtable. And if you have that kind of pristine personality or persona that you've crafted, all of a sudden it's even bigger than it was if it was somebody else. Somebody else, you go, you know, they've been doing antics all along, so you know, no big deal. But if this is not, if you've had kind of a pristine persona, and people held you up, and that's, I guess, the thing, people hold you up on their own personal pedestals, and so when you blemish that pedestal, then they feel personally hurt with that.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, you know, it's just important. I think that small businesses, entrepreneurs really need to, you know, do what they can to protect their brand at any cost. You know, at any cost, but I mean, you know, really protect and decide who you want to be and be that persona, and don't delve in, don't try to get negative publicity, because I think it'll only hurt you in the end. And you know, we've got such a divided country now. You don't need people, you know, you just want them to think you're great and deliver for them. I always say, you know, just like say you're going to meet their goals and always exceed them. You know, just do your best and it'll come.
Yeah. So before we close our segment, what is the difference between a public relations person and a marketing person? How do they operate differently, or?
Sometimes they kind of overlap, but I would say that marketing is more looking at third parties to try to market your, you know, like finding partnerships, relationships to help push your brand, where a publicist is working more directly with media. I mean, some, you know, some publicists, I mean, now it's so blended, but you know, you'll look at a lot of people, like, for example, the people who have, who are at CAA, you know, they're into, you know, trying to find cross promotions between Pepsi and Beyonce, let's say, and that sort of thing. So you're also extending the brand, but you're doing it more through partnerships, whereas a publicist is working more directly with media to craft your brand.
Awesome. Maya says, beautiful. Thank you for explaining. Awesome, my friend. I've learned so much about you.
And I thank you so much for today. I really, really appreciate it. It was fun talking to you guys.
Now you see why we wanted you on here, because not only are we learning more about you, our audience learning more about you, but now the world has learned a lot more about you. And you got a link now, so Crystal is going to provide that link on YouTube, so you can go there, you can take that link and you can edit it and you can use it to market your program.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Once I learn how to do that,
Well, in the meantime,
that's not in my wheelhouse.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, we'll make sure it gets out there. So it'll be on Facebook. It'll be on a LinkedIn. I will tag you in it, so then it'll tag into your space.
I love this.
Perfect.
Greg just gave you a tagline there. He said, "Call Ginger, where publicity is a snap."
Well, and you know, it's so funny that he said that because I just redid my logo, and there's a spray on it, like a a little, I don't know, graphic for lack of a better word. And it's supposed to look like fingers, snapping.
Oh, okay.
So I love it.
Call Ginger, where publicity is a snap.
That's right. Thank you, Greg. I'll send you the check later.
And for those of you that are looking to now have your live events, Miss Ginger's out there, so reach over and call out Snap Productions, and so she can help you put on a fantastic event. She has immense expertise in this area, and as she said, your last you want to make sure your live events are just what they're supposed to do, right?
Right. Absolutely.
And all of these events are great for, when you give an event, it's great for marketing who you are and what you do, and bringing and expanding your network, because it's usually not just one person at these events. There's a whole bunch of folks. So thank you, Ginger. Gilbert, any parting words you'd like to leave with other than what you've already told our small business community?
Well, the one thing I want to say, guys, there's opportunities coming down the pike. You may not hear about it yet, but the president is working on it. And I want to make sure you guys are all ready. We remember what happened during the pandemic in 2020, where many small businesses were not ready. And then the thing happened. And when that thing happened, 440,000 minorities and Black businesses had to close their doors. We don't want you guys closing your doors anymore. So make sure you're ready. You're staying in the ready position. So if you stay in the ready position, you don't need to get ready. So let's do this thing.
All righty then. Ginger, any parting words for the small business community?
I think to be true to yourself, know your voice, and protect your reputation always at all costs. And I'm happy to help you do an event or help you do some publicity to make you shine even brighter than you already do.
Well, you already got my request for Small Biz Pro. You're going to help me with that. So
yes, sir.
I'm in.
Gloria says, thanks for your insight. Greg says, thank you. What does Greg say? Maya, beautiful. So a lot of people are, and I think Margaret must be a friend of yours. Was it Margaret that was here? No, Monique. No? Oh, okay.
Monique is our people. She's our people.
Hey, Monique.
She's one of us.
Well, we want to thank you all for tuning in. It's been a great show. Ginger, you're just awesome.
Thank you so much. I had so much fun with you guys. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
You're
so welcome. So with that, guys,
for those of you guys who want to be a guest on this show, it's very easy. Crystal, tell them how they can become a guest.
So you can reach out to myself or Gilbert. Actually, let me just put the link up. Oh, well, let me see. Let me put the link up. And you
guys, all you need to do is to click on that link and schedule when you would like to be on the show. What we're going to ask you to do is to bring us a headshot and a brief bio, 7 or 8 bullets about you. And that's it. Then you come on the show and you tell us exactly what your business is about and how you're there to help other small businesses or your customers.
Yeah, we're here to help you grow your business, and this is a great way to do that. So we'd love to have you. Holly Campbell said, best business person on the planet.
She's the best sister on the planet.
Best sister on the planet.
Holly's her sister. Hey, Holly, how are you doing?
So when are you heading? When are you guys heading out? To you earlier you said you're going to take your sister back to state she came from?
I think we're leaving the 12th or the 13th. We're driving. It's going to be Thelma and Louise, but we
Oh
won't.
my goodness, that should be a lot of fun. When was the last time you guys took a road trip?
Oh, I couldn't tell you.
Ginger and Holly. Love it.
So that's gonna be fun. I actually like driving and road trip ride driving long distances. I love it.
Gloria just came back from a road trip. She went to Rochester, New York, right, Gloria? She went to Rochester, New York. And
she drove?
I don't know if she drove or not.
Oh, yeah. Rochester's up there by Buffalo. I don't know if she's driving all the way across country.
Yeah,
that's drive. All right. So guys, just the link is in the chat. So pull that link and sign up to be a guest on the show. We will be happy to have you. The whole purpose of the Business Zone is to make sure that we're bringing information to you as well as highlighting you as a business owner. We want everyone to be successful. She says yes, but she didn't drive. As I was telling a friend of mine, if you're going to be at the top, don't be at the top alone. Take everybody with you. So that's what we're doing. We're bringing everybody with us so we all can party together and be strong and be united in one. So we're the small business advocates here, and we want you to be successful. So with that, Gilbert, we ready to sign off for the week?
Yes, we do. And folks, we'll see you again next Friday, 3 o'clock here on the Business Zone. We're out.
Yeah.
As a small biz pro, so we roll, using procurement, program, and control. As a small biz pro, so we grow, using procurement, program, and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm